Hey everyone, Wags here from Eagle Dynamics, and in this DCS AH-64D video, we're going to take a look at creating fire zones. This includes both priority fire zones, or PFZs, and no fire zones, NFZs. Now a PFZ is going to allow you to define the area on the TSD that you and your primary flight members can engage, and no fire zones will do the opposite. It will define areas on the TSD you do not want to engage. And best of all this can be done over the data link through primary members. Let's get started. Now, before we dive too deep, let's do a little housekeeping first. Namely, I want to set up my displays and then also set up the comm page to set up the data link correctly. So first, you can see I have the TSD with the map. And the default setting is a bit hard to read sometimes. So what I like to do is keep the brightness where it is, but then take the video knob and put it to about the 9 o'clock position. We can see a lot more contrast between the symbology and the background map. And let's do that for both displays. On the right display, again, we have the TSD, but I'm going to bring up the Battle Area Management, or BAM page, at the bottom at B3. And we'll come back to that in a second. Next, let's bring up the comm page so we can set up the data link. So we'll go comm. On preset 1, L1, it's chaos. Let's select that preset. And we can see we're on a VHF 127.5 and moving up to the EUFD. As we talked about before, the box indicates the radio that we're transmitting over, but you can receive on all of them. So we'll be transmitting on VHF 1275, which is chaos, and it is preset 1. And like we talked about at the very beginning, in order to transmit and receive fire zones, all members on the preset have to be primary members. Let's go back to the comm page, and we go to the network, and we can see that we have just one other aircraft on our preset, which is going to be a Chaos 2, C2, and is both a team member, but more importantly, a primary member. So again, because it's primary, we can exchange that data. Let's come back out to the TSD, and for giggles, let me bring up a different map type. Let's go today with digital. Now I'm going to stay in the nav phase, but I want to show more information. So I'm going to go to show, chord show, and show friendly, enemy, and planned targets and threats. And back out, and let's bring our scale back a little bit, and at this point I think we're good to go. Okay, with that out of the way, let's take a look at the meat and potatoes of this video, and that is the creation, sending, and receiving of zones. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move my cursor from the left screen to the right screen, because that's where I have the BAM page, and it's the BAM page where the action is going to be happening. Now on the left side at the top at L1 we have type, and right now it defaults to PFZ for priority fire zones, but if we click on L1 we can bring up NF for no fire zones. We'll come back to this in a bit. Below that is the option of how we create the zones, and there are 3 options. We have automatic, manual, and TRP for target reference point, and we'll start with automatic. Now, what's going to happen with automatic is we're going to use the cursor to create a 4-sided polygon, either as a box or through the line tool. And then once we create that box, it will be subdivided into the number of zone as defined in the zone number here on L5, in this case 2. And that number will default to the amount of our number of aircraft in the flight. So it's a lot of words. Let's take a look at this in operation. So we use the cursor to define where we want to make the corner of the box in this case. Press and release, drag to open the box, press and release to send it, and we can see that because we have the zone number set to 2, we have PF1 and PF2. Okay, let's delete this and recreate it with some different variables. So instead of the zone number to 2, let's set that to 4. And instead of a draw box, we'll do draw line. So again, we'll use the cursor to define where we want to draw. To start, press and release here, drag it, press and release, drag, press and release, And the last section, if you press and release now, it will then automatically snap to the first point to create that polygon. Now when creating a polygon with a line tool, you got to make sure though that the line never intersects with itself. So press and release the final time, and then it connects, and now we have PF 1 through 4 based on the zone number defined here. Let's delete that. I'll go back to box. Okay, so that's how we use automatic mode. Let's go to manual mode now. Now, unlike automatic mode, where we create a polygon and then it subdivides into zones based on the zone number, instead in manual mode, based on the zone number, defines how many different polygons we can create. So let's make it 3 in this case. So we're going to make 3 different polygons or PFZs. So number 1, number 2, and number 3. Even if I wanted to, I could not do a 4th one because it's restricted to just 3. Let's go ahead and delete that. And the last one is TRP. This is super simple in that we have our box, which is already subdivided into 4 zones. We can adjust the size with the kilometer setting. Right now it defaults to 2, but we could go down to 1 or all the way up to 3. We use the cursor to define where we want to place it, press and release, and then automatically creates PF 1 through 4. Now while we're here, let's talk about assignment of zones. We can assign a zone to ourselves or a wingman as a primary member. So to do that, we're going to go to assign. Automatically selects the first one, PF1. In this case, I'll assign it to myself, so I'm going to press own. So we see PF1 to own. Automatically cycles to the next one, but if I want to, I can skip that, say go directly to PF3. PF3 is highlighted. I'll select the flight member who is also a primary member I want to assign it to, in this case C2, and hit send. Come back out of assign. Okay, so those are the PFZs. Let's talk about no fire zones, or NFZs now. So from type, we'll go to NF. It automatically selects NF1. So just like we did creating PFZs, we'll use the draw tool, in this case a box. Press and release. Now, unlike a PFZ, we have to accept it. And now we have NF1. And if I wanted to, I could send this to Chaos 1-2 right now. C2 is already selected, and I can hit send. If I wanted to do another no fire zone, I go back to L2. I don't have to necessarily go directly to the next one in sequence, NF2. I could go, say, to NF6. Draw the no fire zone. And accept. Now with no fire zones selected, I could also then send this to a primary member as well. And again, these are sending as an entire file of all no fire zones, or again, if I had a priority fire zone, it would send the file for all priority fire zones. But if I wanted to send both NFZs and PFZs at the same time, I could go to transmit both, select that, and hit send. Okay, so that's the kind of the rundown of creating and sending different types of zones. The last thing I want to touch on is receiving zones, NFZs and PFZs. And one of the things to keep in mind here is that you receive a PFZ or NFZ from a primary member, it's as a file and will overwrite any existing PFZs or NFC assignments you have on the TSD. To show this, I'm going to go ahead and ask Chaos 1-2 to send me your PFZ. So you can see we have a receive up on the TSD. I will press that. We see it's a PF zone from C2. And you can see that it replaced the PFZs I had with the zone, but because he did not send me an NFC, my existing NFC stayed the same. Now, last note is you may notice on L3 we have an active function. That will come later when we add the fire control radar. So folks, that's a little look at sending fire zones, PFZs and NFZs. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Thanks.